Hey guys, how you doing? JP Saricolia here, and welcome again to another episode of Age of Heroes. Whoever is watching this through YouTube, but also to those who are listening through iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Castbox, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, Podcaster, through iHeartRadio, through Spotify. You know, there's so many different platforms. But I thank you all for taking time to watch this. And this is a very important week. We are celebrating, all comic book geeks are celebrating the 80th anniversary of Green Lantern. DC is throwing a big party on it as usual. Lately we've been having so many celebrations with Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman too. But Green Lantern is another important figure in the DC universe. And definitely one that deserves a lot of attention. So today in this podcast, I want to really concentrate into this character that is so iconic, but at the same time so misunderstood by so many readers, and actually bypassed by so many comic book readers for other characters that many consider more important. But I do believe that Green Lantern is as important as Batman or as a Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash to the DC mythos. So I want to really talk about it today. And while I'm doing that, I may have some gameplay in the background from Injustice 2, one of my favorite games, fighting games, but also one game that every time I feel the need to play superheroes in video games, this is one of the games that I choose. I love it. It's a combination of two of my favorite things in the world, which is, of course, superheroes and also fighting games. So I'm going to have some gameplay for those who love to watch that here in YouTube. But definitely, it's a very important day, and of course, DC is throwing a celebration, is making a party. Last week, I think, it was last week, they released some new issues, and I think they're available digitally as well. I'm not so sure right now. I haven't really checked, but they have new covers. I think they're just physical. You have artists like Nicola Scott, Matt Taylor, Doug Mankey, Neil Adams, David Finch, Philip Tan, Ivan Reis, Jim Lee. So they have really a stellar list of artists working on this variant covers, and I will have, for those who are watching, I will have them on the screen. I will have some of the cover art for those to really enjoy, to see the quality of this art. But yeah, DC is celebrating, and it's definitely a character that I could say that is so misunderstood. And I've been part of the problem as well, or not, I would say misunderstood, but a character that has been in many ways not as respected, as well respected as any other character in the DC universe. It's a character that sometimes many of us bypass growing up. I remember growing up as a child, I didn't get to read as many comics for Green Lanterns. First and foremost because I was young and I didn't have the money to spend, so I didn't really buy as many Green Lantern books. I will always go for in this case for DC, I will go for Superman or Batman. Those were the ones, or the Justice League. Those were the ones that I would get. In the Marvel side, I will go for, Spider-Man. I would go for Fantastic Four, Avengers, the X-Men. But beyond that, I didn't really have the time or the money to afford, the Green Lantern comic book. So I really didn't pay as much attention to it in later years. And I would say, with total honesty, that actually the one that really got me so hooked into reading comics for Green Lantern was, in this case, Jeff Jones. I even though Jeff Jones took a lot of inspiration from previous comics, it really got me really hooked to the Green Lantern mythos, to the point that I went back and reread a lot of stuff that I missed over the years. And over time, I think, my admiration for the character has grown. And definitely appreciate what has been done. But you really need to see the history of this character that is, it's so vast. Because when you think about Green Lantern, sometimes most of us, we have an idea who Green Lantern is, depending on the Green Lantern we grew up watching or reading in comics. But, for me, it was Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan was always my Green Lantern. But you have to realize that before Hal Jordan, you have Alan Scott. That was back in the 40s. It was the original Green Lantern. In this case, for the golden age of comics. And in this case, Alan Scott was introduced in All-American Comics number 16, which was 1940. It was definitely one of the important characters of the time. It was popular. It was created by Martin Nadell. And, when you go back to the original character, you realize that he is... there's a lot of things. The original, in this case, Green Lantern, he's not like the Green Lantern we know now. Of course, he was totally different outfit. Of course, he was really battling some baddies and criminals, so he was not doing all the cosmic stuff. It was not until Hal Jordan was introduced in Showcase 22. That was 1959, and also was one of the important, the key issues into the Silver Age of comics, created by John Broome and Gil Kane. And that changed all. He became very popular. They introduced all the elements that we know now for the character. And, in this case, the place was at Coast City, his relationship with Carol Ferris. It was all the whole thing about the Guardians and all of that. So, but then, there was another, that a lot of people, some people might think he's definitely a bothersome character, because I've never been, I would say, crazy in this case about... Guy Gardner, that was introduced actually in 1969. So it was introduced in this case in Volume 2 of Green Lantern. And also created by John Broome and Gil Kane. The way we know it now is because through Stephen Englehart and Joe Staton back in the 80s, when they actually turned him into this guy that, this brash personality, that, the guy that he's cocky and he thinks he's better than anybody else, and he picks a fight with everyone. But that was the 80s stuff. Prior to that, he did have a little bit of an attitude, but not necessarily the attitude that we know him now. But I think over time, I have grown to admire Guy Gardner for who he is, as a character. The classic, in this case, American guy that he thinks too highly about himself. He's who he is, and the people that some people hate, but at the same time, the person that you want to have on your side because he's stubborn and he would do the right thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's popular. But then, of course, we also have John Stewart, who was introduced in 1971, created by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams, and one of the most iconic runs for me for Green Lantern. And I think many people love John Stewart, of course, because they have watched it in the show, of course, on the Justice League animated show that came out in the early 2000s. That was definitely a show that I personally love. And of course, John Stewart was part of it. But in the comics, of course, he was a character that was introduced, in this case, as a Black Green Lantern. And of course, it was a very, in that moment, it created some controversy, of course. We're talking about the 70s. There's a lot of struggles even in America. And even until now, we still have struggles about race. And but yeah, it was an introduction to that. But John Stewart grew to become an important character in his own right. And many people admire John Stewart. Many people came to read Green Lantern to John Stewart, because at some point, of course, Hal Jordan retired from the job of Green Lantern. So John Stewart took pretty much the job. He became the Green Lantern of Earth. But yeah, it's a character that I would say that I also admire. I really appreciate. And of course, it's been used a lot in recent comics. We also have Kyle Rayner that came out in the 90s. It was introduced in 1994, created by Ron Marz and Daryl Banks. Of course, the introduction of Kyle Rayner, it was not the best, because, in that moment, a lot of people are going to dislike what happened in the 90s with Hal Jordan and the way he actually killed the entire, pretty much the Green Lantern Corps and all of that stuff that happened. He went crazy. He went bananas. And, so a lot of people are going to have mixed emotions. And I also am going to have mixed emotions with Ron Marz because of what he did. But I think Kyle Rayner gained a lot of followers because he was different. During that time, I remember it really didn't touch me as much what happened with the Green Lantern stuff during the 90s. Like some people really got offended about the whole thing. But to me, it was not the thing that it really bothered me as much because, of course, during that time I was already, doing other things, with Emerald Twilight. I was reading other comics. It didn't touch me as much as I would say the Dead and Return of Superman, or in this case, Nightfall, because those were the things that the characters that I was paying more attention in comics. But definitely, it was something. But, Kyle Rayner, gained so much popularity over time. People really love him. A lot of people you ask him, who is your Green Lantern? They will tell you, Kyle Rayner is my Green Lantern. Because they admire his wit, they admire his youthfulness, the way the creation that he did. He was different. He was young. And to me, that was a good part of it. And I think Kyle Rayner has become important. I think he's kind of forgotten nowadays, even though now with Rebirth, we see him there as well. We see more of the character. But definitely, I think he was forgotten for a long time. But it's a character that I think deserves also the attention and, of course, during that time. But there's other characters that also have been introduced as that. Recently with the New 52, although I'm not a fan of the 52, I read some of the stuff. I really like some of this stuff. Some of the stuff not so much. But we have the introduction of Simon Bass, who is actually the first. It's a Lebanese American. So of course, during that time with everything that is happening in the world, and of course they did a lot of the hatred that a lot of the Muslims and people from Middle Eastern roots are having in this country or around the world because of situations that we have faced in this country, but also other parts of the world. But it was an introduction. I wasn't too keen on it. But I really like it more, I think, with Rebirth. I think Rebirth has really made me appreciate Bass a lot more. Of course, also we have Jessica Cruz. And she was introduced also in Justice League 31, also part of the New 52. And of course, now they have the Green Lanterns run and the Rebirth. I really like that run. There's a team up between, in this case, Simon and Jessica. And in my opinion, it's a good run. It is a good run because it's very fresh, it's very new, and these characters are really great together, working together. So, but there's been so many variations, so many characters, and when you think about the Green Lantern, you think about the main characters, of course, but you also think about the Green Lantern Corps. And when you think about the Green Lantern Corps, you have to think about the Guardians, about Oa. You have to think about also Jade, so she was also part of the Green Lanterns, the daughter of Alan Scott and Thorne. You think about also Sinestro, a great villain in my opinion, one of the greatest villains in the DC universe. You think about Kilowog. I've always loved Kilowog. It's one of the characters that you really love. Particularly, he always used the expression "pooser." He always called everybody a pooser. I really love Kilowog. He's just a tough guy with a heart of gold. Avon Sword, of course, the legendary Avon Sword. You have, other characters like Arisia, Mogo, the big Green Lantern planet. But you have Tomari. It's been always there too. So, you see all these characters being so alive. And there's so many Green Lanterns I can just go on and on. But every one of them formed this big group, this intergalactic police force that it's, very different and unique from different planets, coming against some of the greatest threats of the in this case of the universe, not the galaxy, the universe. And it's something that is really so, in my opinion, so refreshing about the way it is. When you think about DC, sometimes DC, the problem with a lot of the superheroes with DC, like Batman, Superman, and sometimes they have this godlike powers in many ways. Even Batman has become kind of godlike in so many ways because, he's treated like this is super smart fella, he's super smart guy that can really think about that, and that goes beyond who Batman was at the beginning. To me, Batman was a guy that was resourceful. Yes, he had a lot of toys and he was smart and he was capable, but not necessarily was like the wisest guy or the person that can, the super geek in the world. I don't think he is, but they always present him in that way now that's how they present him that way. But I think that, and sometimes you feel that these heroes on Earth, they're not touching Earth. But the difference with Green Lantern is that now he is in space. And what I really like about Green Lantern is that even he's in space, he is not, he's put at the same level of the threats around him. So, he's not more powerful than the villains he's facing. Sometimes he's less powerful than them. Even though he has the power of the ring, he's still not as powerful as some of those enemies that he's confronting. And it's all about his willpower, his desire to really really survive and to do the right thing. And that's something that is really admirable of this character, and actually the whole mythos of the Green Lantern. You know, the oath is one of the greatest oaths of all times. I love it. It was introduced back in 1943. And in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil smite. Beware my power, Green Lantern's light. And it's one that, you know, people know, and it's so iconic just to hear it. When you watch it on movies, on animation, when you read it in the comics, it's such a powerful, really a powerful oath that really, it speaks volumes of, you know, the power of the light in darkness, and also that we carry the light. And personally as a Christian, I've always admired that oath. I always find it so touching, and you know, because he talks about justice in the middle of injustice. He talks about light in the middle of darkness, and it's a theme that is very common within the Christian faith. And you know, there's so many throughout the years, there's always been a lot of speculation who really wrote it. Nobody really knows. But it's been there, and it's one that is so iconic, so memorable. I don't think any other hero has any saying. Of course, you always remember with great power comes great responsibility. It's one of the most iconic when you think about, you know, in this case, Marvel, you think about that expression, which is very iconic. But when you think about the DC universe, you have to think about this one, the Green Lantern's oath. I think it's the most iconic expression, and also is very, very powerful. But, you know, thinking about Green Lantern, you know, sometimes it's hard, you know, as many of us that we don't really read the comics, all of them, and we get into comics, sometimes can be overwhelming. And that's one of the things about the Green Lantern world, that it can be so overwhelming to really know exactly what are the stories that you should read, because there's so many stories, and sometimes it's so overwhelming to the point that you feel like you don't want to even start. You cannot even start when you don't know where to start. So, you know, you can go back in the history and go back all the way to the beginning and still feel like you haven't accomplished much. But there are stories that I personally have considered iconic over the years. Particularly, I love the Green Lantern and Green Arrow, the Hard Traveling Heroes run by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams. To me, it is an iconic run because, of course, it's in the 70s. It is a time, there's two different personas, Hal Jordan and, of course, Green Arrow. They're very different. You know, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, he's more conservative, while in this case, Green Arrow is more liberal. So they really kind of, even up to this day, you know, it really represents the times, you know, that we have differences in this country, we have differences around the world, difference of opinion, but it's all about working together. And I think when they created this storyline, which was actually the step into the Bronze Age of comics, it really changed the way people saw comic books, and definitely is I would say a motor to change the way that, not just about entertainment, but it's also about messages that are important for the readers to read. So to me, it's a very iconic. Of course, Neil Adams' art is amazing. Another one that I personally would recommend would be Ganthet's Tale, written by Larry Niven, and the art is of John Byrne. It's a very small issue. It's not big. It's just, you know, a single story, but it is a very important story. Many consider the most beautiful and the best, the most iconic Green Lantern story. Of course, it's Green Lantern and one of the Guardians, Ganthet. It's a very good story. Of course, I'm a big fan of John Byrne, so I recommend it to anyone. The art is great and the story is great. But we also have, you know, the Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps stories from the 80s, which is hard to really pinpoint which one, because there's so many different stories in the 80s. Some people don't really look at that. A lot of people, of course, they're gonna always talk about Jeff Jones, and I do too. But if you go back to the 80s, there were a lot of great stories, you know, with the Green Lantern Corps and the Green Lantern. You have writers like Mike W. Barr, Len Wein, Stephen Englehart, but you also have artists like, in this case, Dave Gibbons, Joe Staton, and Gil Kane, some of the greatest artists in comics. And the art is amazing, very iconic. So to me, my youngest recollections of the Green Lantern are based on the art of these guys. And even though I didn't read it as much, I remember the art vividly in the 80s. And definitely those are iconic. And now that I've been having the time to really go back again throughout the years and read some of the old stories, I really appreciate the story. It's very good. They kind of cemented, they put the base for a lot of the stuff that later on came with Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones took inspiration from a lot of these guys. But also, I think about Emerald Dawn 1 and 2, written by Kit Giffen. You got Gerard Jones and M.D. Bright. The art is amazing too. That was at the end of the 80s, and also was the step into what Ron Marz would do later. I really, really appreciate those stories. I definitely like those. Great stories, great art. M.D. Bright, I've always admired his art. Now Green Lantern by Ron Marz, of course. In the 90s, in the mid 90s, you start seeing the Emerald Twilight, which is very controversial, of course, but you have to read it. You want to understand what came afterwards, and of course the New Dawn, Emerald Knights, which I actually like, and of course Kyle Rayner introduced there, and to me I think that's the best part. I think at least we got a new, because at the end of the day, Green Lantern it's not about Hal Jordan. It's about the power of these guardians. In this case, the power of these protectors of the universe. Led by the Guardians. Also, of course, but then you have to read Jeff Jones' run that really reshape things and brought back Hal Jordan to the Green Lantern Corps, reshaped the Green Lantern Corps with Rebirth, which I recommend. The Sinestro Corps War, I really love Sinestro. Again, he's one of the greatest villains in the DC universe. Blackest Night, also great recommendation. And to me, Jeff Jones is like the Jim Starlin of the DC universe. Jim Starlin, of course, created some of the greatest cosmic stories and some of the cosmic heroes and villains that we actually now are even enjoying through the media, through television, through movies, through all of that. He was the one that shaped all of those characters. And although Jeff Jones didn't, he didn't have, I would say, as much as Jim Starlin as creating something from scratch, because he took a lot of inspiration from a lot of different artists, he has constructed a universe, a cosmic universe that to me is in parallel with, in this case, Marvel's universe, a cosmic universe. And to me, I think Jeff Jones is at the top because of that. I consider a great writer. But you also have Green Lantern Corps by Dave Gibbons. I really like that. Recharge, of course, during that time. Also with Jeff Jones, Dave Gibbons started creating this. And he wrote, in this case, Recharge with Jeff Jones. But he went into his own run. And I really enjoyed that run because he really kind of gave more flesh. He fleshed out, in this case, the characters from the Kilowog and all these characters from the Green Lantern Corps, and I really enjoyed that run. But also, I like Green Lanterns by Sam Humphrey. Like I was mentioning earlier, and this is part of the Rebirth when you have, in this case, Simon Bass and Jessica Cruz coming together in a team up. And I really like the interaction. Some people might not like this story, might find the plot not as good. Not as deep, but I really enjoyed the ride and I really enjoyed the characters. Again, it was Sam Humphries, the one that started the run, I think until issue 30 something. I don't remember which one exactly. Then Tim Seeley took over and Dan Jorgens then took over. But we also have to think about Green Lantern on the terms of television and cinema. There is always that aspect of it. Also, the Green Lantern has been involved in so many different shows, in movies, animated movies primarily, and one film that a lot of people don't want to remember. But when we go back at the beginning, the first show where Green Lantern was, seen on TV was the Superman and Aquaman Hour of Adventure that came out in 1967. Very classic. I don't even remember that, because of course I wasn't born in that time, during that time. The Aquaman show, I have watched some of the episodes later on in life, but I don't remember. What I do remember is Super Friends, because that's in my time. That came out in the late 70s. That's during my time. And I remember as a kid watching Super Friends, and he was part of it. Of course, there were other things. There was a show in the 80s called the Superpower Team. Only lasted for one season. It wasn't not popular, so of course didn't make it. But there are also the Superman animated series. I think Kyle Rayner did some cameos there. But then, of course, you have Justice League, in this case with Jon Stewart. I really love Justice League, and Jon Stewart was phenomenal there. And Doc Dodgers also, they have, a Green Lantern story. Of course, this is more like a parody of Green Lantern. But it has done a lot of cameos with so many different shows like Static Shock. Then Justice League Unlimited, well, you have Jon Stewart, but also you saw Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner. Justice League, The New Frontier. The New Frontier, to me, I love the comic book. It's one of those comics that I do recommend anyone to read. I forgot on the list that I was mentioning. The New Frontier, in my opinion, it's a must read because also has one of the best interpretations of Green Lantern, in my opinion. Of course, goes back to the beginning. It's Hal Jordan, but goes back to the pretty much the start of the Silver Age and the character and its persona. So it really loves that. It really honors that. And Darwin Cook did a fantastic job writing that. So, but the animated movie, I think it takes, even though in the ending takes some liberties, at the end of the day, I would say it is a great animated film that needs to be watched. I really enjoy it. Also, Green Lantern First Flight came out in 2009. I love that film. It's one of my favorite films of the DC universe, the DC animated films. Really love it. A great introduction to the character. It was groundbreaking when it came out. You also saw Batman, The Brave and the Bold. You have seen Alan Scott, Guy Gardner, and also Hal Jordan. You have seen some appearances there. I really love that show, but of course it's centered around Batman. Justice League, Crisis on Two Earths. Of course, in this case, Hal Jordan was there. Green Lantern movie, which we're not really going to talk much about. Let's just talk about it, because I can tell you one thing. I wouldn't say that I'm a hater of the film. I really like Ryan Reynolds as an actor, and I do think that in that part, his persona and actually his outfit, all of that match well. I really love actually the CGI, everything they did, the way they represent Oa. I really like that. It wasn't bad, but of course some people say it was too cheesy. Definitely Parallax was a joke, all the villain, all of that was really poorly managed. But of course you have to remember that this was done prior to the DC really setting the stage for even their Justice League universe. But there, I would say that was good for what it was. It's enjoyable. I own the movie. I'm not going to deny it. I'm proud of it. But, I don't necessarily feel that this is the best thing that ever happened. But, it was fun for what it was. But, of course, you also have Green Lantern Emerald Knights, which also is my favorite animated Green Lantern film after, I would say, First Flight, because it really goes into the Green Lantern Corps and give stories of each character, and I really love that one. It's one of my favorite ones. Probably after I finished recording this, I'm going to watch it again. I was watching First Flight last night. Now, the Green Lantern animated series, which is done with CGI, I really enjoy too. I think it's underappreciated, but I really enjoy what they were trying to accomplish with that. Of course, Green Lantern has done a lot of cameos through Young Justice. Then we have Justice League Doom. You have Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox. He was part of that. Justice League War. A lot of Lego movies with a lot of, in this case, with Hal Jordan, and I think also with Jon Stewart. But, I really don't watch the Lego movies. I really don't care much about it. You got the Justice League, Throne of Atlantis. You got the Justice League Dark, the Death of Superman. He was there too. The Reign of the Superman, Justice League versus the Fatal Five. This is with Jessica Cruz. And Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War, which is the last one I reviewed on my channel. And now we know that there is a show that is coming very soon. Actually, well, it's in pre-production for HBO Max. It is planned for that. Of course, right now everything is about the Justice League Snyder Cut that is coming next year. So I'm guessing this is going to happen after that. So it might not happen until 2022, 2023. If everything goes according to plan. But they want to do the same thing, a mini series based on the character, and in this case the Green Lantern Corps. And it's interesting just to think about it, because when you come to think about Green Lantern, unfortunately there haven't been that many films besides the First Flight and in this case Emerald Knights. There haven't been so many different variations of Green Lantern, mostly Green Lantern, and he's been part of television and movies for so long, animated films primarily, but it's been always about, him being part of the Justice League or being I would say, another character on a Batman film or a Batman animated film. And that to me is kind of disappointing, because the character I think deserves that. You can see it with First Flight. You can see it with Emerald Knights, which in my opinion are some of the best animated films pretty much in the DC universe. I like it more than others. It's all about the Green Lantern Corps. I think when you really manage, you have a good script, and when you write it well and you understand the character well, you definitely can really create that. Because sometimes people say, and I heard this comment before, because the fail movie, a lot of people think, well, Green Lantern is not a good character to have his own solo movie. I've read that many times before, and I disagree. He is a good character. It depends how you write the character, and you expand this universe in a way that you respect the source material. Some people want everything to be dark. Of course, we have the Green Lantern little cameo in the Justice League film, which was just there, and it was never really fully fleshed out. But I do believe that you can do that. For example, when you go back and look at the other side at Marvel, how in this case Gunn was able to really pull, in this case, the Guardians of the Galaxy in a way that people really appreciated. A character that were really dark, in the very obscure, beyond people that really read comics. Not even all the comic book readers knew the characters. But they were able to do it. And I do feel that if you're able to pull it, because at the end of the day, the Green Lanterns represent the center core of the cosmic adventures at DC, I do believe that you can really do it. You just have to do it well. And I feel that they can do it. Yeah, the film is not I would say what really says that the character is bad, because the character has never been bad. It's just, the perception of some people, they think the character is there's no stories to tell. And actually there's plenty stories to tell. Like I was mentioning here, I have gone through through all this time that I've been in this podcast, I've been talking about so many stories throughout the years, since the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s. You can take from any part of the history of the character. You can take so many stories, and you're definitely gonna come ahead. But also, Green Lantern has been part of video games. He's been primarily as a character in the Justice League video games. For example, but it started with the Game Boy Advance times. You have the Justice League and Justice for All, Chronicles, then Justice League Heroes that I really enjoy, came out in 2006. I played it on the Xbox, came out on the PS2 and also PSP. I also have the PSP version, also the DS. Then you have Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. A lot of people don't like it. I had fun with it. Justice League Heroes Unlimited, which was an arcade game that really didn't see much light around. It was not really a great game. Batman the Brave and the Bold, you have that on the Wii and the DS. Of course, as Guy Gardner, he does a cameo during, I think, in the game. It's a great game for the Wii. You got Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters, based on the film, the 2011 film. Not a good game. It's okay. I'm not gonna say that it's bad, because you can enjoy it for what it is. But it's not a real, because at the end of the day, it's based on the film, so it's not that great of a film. So it's not a great of it was an empty, barren land in many ways. So that was the disappointment. It had potential, though. I really like Kilo Works' design there. You also had, many games that had come out for, in this case, for mobile, for the PC. You got the Lego games, the Lego Batman games. You got Justice League Earth Final Defense, came out on the iOS and Android. Injustice, God Among Us, I really enjoy. And of course, Injustice 2. Scribblenauts Unmasked. A lot of people love that. I wouldn't say that I'm too crazy about Scribblenauts. And there's other games, cameos on the Family Guy, The Quest for Stuff. Infinite Crisis came out on PC and ultimately was shut down. It was bad. I don't know why. I don't think it wasn't popular. You got the DC Legends for Android and PC. And so on and so on. So there's so many games. We have DC Super Villains came out. This came out on the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. But mostly it's all about him being part of, again, of Batman stories, or being part of in this case, the Justice League, and more than just his own game. And, I've heard comments, people saying, well, you cannot have a movie for him. You cannot have a video game for him that people feel like they can enjoy. And I do believe that there is an options there. There are actually opportunities for this character, well written, well produced, to have a fantastic, video game just for, Green Lantern. The universe of Green Lantern is so vast. You can have multiple things, adventures in multiple universes, planets. I think people can enjoy it and have fun with it. It's just how they produce it. I do believe that it is possible. I think that the video game came out in 2011, based on, of course, on the film. I think it had the right, in this case, it had the right idea, but it had a really bad application. And if they would have done it better, I would say that the game could have been a lot better than what it was. But, it is what it is. Definitely I would love to see it. more about that. Right now, of course, the only time that I can get to really play, if I go back and play in this case, the original Justice League Heroes, which I do play from time to time on my Xbox 360 because, of course, it's backward compatible with it. But most of the time I just play Injustice 2 because I can play with Green Lantern, and that's about it. But I would love to have not just a fighting game, but a story-driven game with, in this case, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, or Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, who doesn't matter. It could be the entire Green Lantern Corps, and I will have fun with it. But definitely, this is a character, like I was saying earlier, that is misunderstood and undervalued by so many. But when you really look at it, when you go back at the history of it, you realize how important he has been for the entire DC universe, for DC Comics, in so many different ways. It's a character that is larger than life. I think it's more popular now than ever. When it's well written, like Jeff Jones did, you have great stories there. Not everyone is going to love Jeff Jones' take on it, but ultimately I feel that it's a character that is rich in history, that they're very different. That's what I love about Green Lantern. When you think about Superman, you only think about one Superman. That's it, Clark Kent. When you think about Batman, you think about Bruce Wayne. That's it. When you think about Wonder Woman, you think of Prince Diana. Now, Flash has different, of course, versions, different people that have carried that name, but each one has been important as well. But I do believe Green Lantern, when you think about Green Lantern, not only think about, most of us would think about Hal Jordan, but beyond Hal Jordan, you have to think about the Corps. You have to think of each character that formed part of this body, and this body of, of defense, the universe defense. And each one is different, each one is unique, and each one brings something new to the table. And I really enjoy the character. I think this 80 years is a testament of how important this character has been. Even though he has been misunderstood, even though he hasn't been appreciated as much, I do believe that character, people see it for who he is. And he is definitely an A-lister. Back in the day, I could have considered him a B-lister when I was younger and stupid and naive. Some people might consider him an A- character, but I can say that he deserves, to be who he is. He is at the pantheon of great characters pretty much in the DC universe, and is well deserved. So I want to say today to, in this case, Green Lantern, whether it's Hal Jordan, John Stewart, whoever, all of them, Alan Scott, I want to say happy 80th anniversary, happy birthday to DC. Congratulations to DC for this achievement. They have really, kept this character alive for so many years with great stories. Some not so good, some moments that they dropped the ball for sure, but ultimately he's a character that is larger than life and deserves the recognition. But what is your opinion? What do you think? Are you a fan of Green Lantern? Who is your Green Lantern? Who is your favorite Green Lantern? Let me know in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, you can come to Facebook, you can go to Twitter, you can go even to Instagram. I have the links in the description, and you can share with me how you feel about it. So my friends, God bless you. Take care, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.